I mean, to be fair to Bu, he was more than matching Rublev in the rallies, and of course, we all know the power, and how good he is. Rublev is from the back of the court,
Mm.
and incredible baseliner. He's just one of the best. And he's that's why he's been top five in the world, and yeah. So, but for Bu to do that and come through that, I mean, it was quite remarkable. I mean, I obviously we talked about him a lot in this podcast and said, well, he seems to be getting very good over the summer. I mean, even those of us who watch tennis closely did not quite expect him to pull this off. But I mean,
Mm.
he's just it was very obviously we know how good his tennis in terms of like it can be in the rallies, but then just mentally that he was able to stay composed and stay strong and be aggressive and it's I watched Bu last year. In this, that was his sort of a bit of a breakthrough for him because he played the Seoul Challenger
It was here,
in
yeah.
spring in spring last year, and he went on to win the title against Vukic in the final. I mean, I saw him actually there's a video I shared just after Bu's run on Twitter. I watched him on the outer court in front of about five people.
Right.
But at that time, I mean, I tweeted something like, "What a machine this guy is." What struck me back then was, he certainly wasn't hitting the ball as well as he does now, but he was, had a good serve and he, you could tell he was very determined and he was a good athlete. That's what, I could see then.
Right.
And then he ended up having a good week and winning the title. Didn't do well though. If that was the standard that he'd set, then he didn't really match it for the rest of the year. But then from this year, from April, he had a good tournament in Korea. I think he got to the final, and then he
Mm.
won a few tournaments over the summer at the challenger level. So yeah, this was clear that he was reaching good form and he was making improvements. Yeah, so after Guangzhou final, then he won in China in Wuxi, and then he won in Granby in Canada, and then reached another final in Chicago. So these are really good results. Yeah, and then of course he actually qualified for the first time at a major. He qualified for the U.S. Open. I think he lost out to Casper Ruud in the first round, but
Hmm.
he was obviously looking good. But I mean, it's really impressed me how well. I mean, when I watched him last year in that challenger in Seoul, yeah, the forehand looked like the better side for him. But now he really hits that clean and hard. It's quite amazing sometimes, and then also sliding out the corners. He's good at that on the forehand side, and getting passing shots up the line, and then also just general ability to hang there in the rallies. Without making errors, it's very impressive. I mean, yeah, unfortunately, when he had to go out through to the semi final, he had to play Yannick Sinner, of course, the
Right.
number one player. And yeah, he was in the semi finals, but it was still a respectable showing because he lost out the first set 6-3, and then the second set went to a tiebreak. So yeah, he only lost that second set in a tiebreak. It was 7-3 in the tiebreak. I mean, Sinner's tiebreak record is been ridiculous. It's this
Right.
year, so and that's why he's the number one player in the world. And then yeah, for Bu to do that though, it's really just sort of changed my perspective on sort of where he can go at the moment because he's now up to 69 in the ranking, so that should be good for him to sort of. Well, I mean, certainly he's going to be in the
Right.
Australian Open again, but then also just the ATP Tour tournaments, he's going to be able to get automatic entry in the entry list
Right.
from now on, for at
Far
least for
far
a
fewer
while.
qualifying tournaments required.
Yeah, and then let's see if he can build up points and possibly. I mean, some people were suggesting to me maybe he could be the number one, and I would never have thought that. The number one Chinese
The
player.
Chinese
I
number
mean, because
one.
we've
Yeah.
got yeah, because he could, the Chinese number one, not number one in the world. Yeah, but
That's
we're
like
not
Coleman Wong
seriously
ambition. That would be.
thinking. Yeah, right.